All right, latest edition of Culotta and the Prince, the vlog here on this Thursday edition of Your Morning Drive. Jam-packed this morning. Joe Oliva, LSU Athletics Director, Vice Chancellor, was here in the first hour, along with Andy Cannizzaro in his typical 7:30 spot. Dan Mullen stopped by here on our coaches clinic on Culotta and the Prince this week. Really insightful, cool conversation with the Mississippi State head football coach. Drove that team to the Orange Bowl last year, 10-3. Dak Prescott coming back for another season under center. Let's start with Oliva. A lot of the questions that you had for Oliva I thought was pretty insightful on the budget cuts right now. They're going on in session right up the road there at the state capitol on both sides of the representatives and the Senate. And higher education cuts, it seems to be the top of the food chain as far as issues are concerned with this legislative session.
Yeah, and again, you're dealing with a situation. LSU's in a unique situation. It's one of only two major colleges that do not get any money from the university for their athletic department. And in fact, LSU's athletic department actually donates money to help fund higher education.
$7 million.
Yeah, so it's nothing to sneeze at. So when you start talking about budget cuts, you're also starting to talk about how's that going to impact and affect the sports programs. It's a great topic, and it's something that I know you and I are going to continue to ask people about and to try to get information on, because Jordy, when you're talking about cutting higher education, it's not just simply, well, that they're going to furlough some employees, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. There are wide-ranging things that will impact quality of life in the state of Louisiana, and unfortunately, sports is one of those.
Oliva also talked about cutting down the applicants that have enrolled to be possibly the next voice of the Tigers. Jim Hawthorne will go through his final regular season home game at the Box this weekend. In fact, the voice will actually sing the national anthem tomorrow night before Game 1. Andy Cannizzaro out on the road recruiting. It seemed like this break came at a pretty good time. Now, I know they can't force the break. This is obviously finals week on campus, but Cannizzaro talked to us from an airport this morning. He's out looking at players and recruiting. Gives an opportunity to kind of get away from the program, recalibrate a little bit if you're a player or a coach, and get back in with a very competitive series this weekend with Missouri.
Yeah, they're losing extras to Mississippi State on Saturday. Sunday through this Friday will be time off. They'll be out there practicing this afternoon in preparation for the Missouri series this weekend. Great opportunity to take a guy like Andrew Stevenson, who missed that Saturday game because of a hamstring issue, give him a little bit of rest and get him ready to go. It's also nice to, at some point in time, to take these guys and have them understand that when you get your academics out of the way, you can start focusing on simply baseball. Nice to get that kind of mental hurdle cleared and get those guys ready to go out and perform the rest of the season.
I like what Coach Mullen had to say about Manny Diaz coming back to Starkville as defensive coordinator. He spent last year at Louisiana Tech. He was at Texas before that. Before that, he was with Mississippi State and Dan Mullen. What'd you take away from the conversation with Mullen?
That's a good football coach. That guy's, he won 10 games at Mississippi State. I mean, you think about that for a second.
Number one team in the country.
Number one in the country. That's a good football coach there. I think that his team is not going to be as good this year as they were last year. That they got a ton
defensively, right?
Defensively. Offensively, they lose a bunch of offensive linemen and Josh Robinson, and those were things that they relied upon. But yeah, I think they'll still be pretty good. I don't think they'll be as good as last year, and I think that's where a program like Mississippi State, you can build them for that one team that can make that run. I don't know if he has the overall depth to build a program yet, where every year annually they're in the competition to talk about winning the SEC and playing for a spot in the college football playoff.
September 20th, week 2 of the college football season, LSU will travel down to Davis-Wade Stadium in Starkville to take on the Bulldogs. Check that conversation out with head coach Dan Mullen. He talks about that, what the Prince mentioned there, the lack of depth that they may be returning here for this college football season. Check it out online, 1045ESPN.com. On-demand tab, Culotta and the Prince. Catch us Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. right here on 1045, 1049 ESPN Baton Rouge.